Donald Trump and his minions love to do something else, right? They like to tell their people, hey, you don't need to go to college, man. Go to a trade school. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with a trade school. I'm not saying there's not. I mean, we need plumbers. We need all of these. They have the same value as anybody else. So yeah, if you want to go to trade school, all of that is good. But what they have actually been doing is convincing people that going to college is actually bad. As if somehow going to college is a scarlet letter. But their kids are going to school, but they're not telling your MAGA folks that. Their kids are going to school. Their kids are going to Ivies. Their kids are doing all the things that are necessary to live a long, prosperous life. But they just think MAGA, the Trump and his minions, they think MAGA is scum. They think MAGA is dumb. So they give advice to MAGA. Don't go to college. Don't do that. So let's kind of examine what that really means. Let's examine what that means, and then I'll be back.
It's not just pumpkin spice in the air. It's pencils and textbooks too, because back to school season is here. While many students might already have accepted the soaring cost of college tuition bills and all those added fees, some might still be wondering if the sky-high cost of education actually is worth the return on investment. To help us understand, the professor is joining us now, University of Michigan economics and public policy professor Justin Wolfers. So great to have you. And this is a perfect conversation for today because everyone's going back to school right now. College is getting so expensive. Justin, some might be asking, just how important is it to go to college at this point in 2025?
Well, Anna, I was just back in the classroom and met 500 bright-eyed, brilliant young Michigan undergrads, and it filled me with energy. But they're there for a reason, which is they want to figure out whether this is going to give them a better life. And if you look at the data on this, how much do college graduates earn relative to those who just went to high school? The differential, and that's the graph you're showing right now, is just absolutely enormous. College graduates are earning about 80% more than those who just finished high school. And for the parents of high schoolers, keep them in school because high school graduates earn a whole lot more. And if you're thinking about going back to graduate school, let me tell you, there's a big economic payoff to that too.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are staggering from $34,500 if you just have some, a little bit more if you're a high school graduate, $46,000 on average. But then look, it jumps to $87,000 if you have a bachelor's degree, all the way up to almost $200,000 if you have those graduate level of education degrees. We hear a lot about, recent college graduates struggling to find jobs. They might have a bachelor's or a master's degree. Some may think having a college education just isn't important anymore. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, actually, let's take the numbers you were just showing because they're quite extraordinary. If you add it up, the difference between going to college and not going to college, it adds more than $1 million to how much you're going to earn over a lifetime. So to the students who are watching right now, realize 4 years of college adds more than $1 million to your earnings. These are important years. It's not just that you're earning more as well. You're more likely to keep your job. The unemployment rate for recent college graduates has gone up a little bit, and that's caused a lot of concern. But realize that life is still so much better when you have more education. When unemployment rises, you see that it really hurts those who are less educated, those who didn't finish high school or those with only a high school degree. You can think about a college degree as inoculating you against unemployment. It will be hard sometimes to find a job, but it's still so much easier when you do have that college degree in hand. You can see right now the unemployment rate for folks with a degree is only 2.5%.
So, okay, we'll give it to you. College graduates might earn more. We'll have lower unemployment rates. But how do we know that it is that college education that's actually causing higher wages? Economists are always telling us correlation doesn't necessarily mean causation. Maybe the people who go to college were always going to be successful or more successful anyway.
I love this, Anna. You sound so much like an economist right now. Let's take the data and really dig in and see if we can make sense of it. And so generations of labor economists, and I'm a labor economist, have spent time trying to unpack this idea. Is it correlation or is it causation? A couple of brilliant economists went off to Twinsville and they interviewed a lot of twins. So people with the exact same genetics. And if there was one twin who went to college and another one who didn't, the twin who went to college earned more. You can look at kids who grow up near a college. They're more likely to go to college than kids who grow up far away from a college. Kids who grow up near a college end up being more likely to go to college. They end up earning more. You can look at things like school leaving laws. If school leaving laws force you to stay in school longer, you end up staying in school longer, and those folks end up earning more. You can look at what happens when we build new schools. When you build new schools, more people go to school, and the folks that have those opportunities end up earning more. So I think what we learn at the end of this is that going to school does, in fact, cause you to go on and earn more, and quite a bit more.
Yeah, it's also fascinating to read here on this graphic that growing up near a university also leads to higher earnings. Again, just being within that educational environment makes such a difference. And of course, it's not always about the bottom line, right? Professor, are there other tangible benefits to getting that higher education that maybe don't come from a paycheck?
Yeah, so you might say, you economists, you're too focused on money. There's more to life than that. And I'm going to agree with you. And so there's been very careful studies looking at other things that education causes that does. And it turns out folks who go to college are more likely to live longer. They have healthier lives and longer lives. It turns out folks who go to college have more stable marriages. And in fact, they're marrying at higher rates as well. We probably don't need a study for this, but many of us have many of our best friends in life came from our college years, and they're also our professional networks. And I think the thing that really brings it home for me, a very good friend of mine wrote this study. In fact, he looked at happiness levels. And it turns out that folks who were forced to stay in school a little longer, they may not have liked it at the time, but they went on to be both wealthier and happier. So it's not just about the money. You end up healthier, wealthier, and happier the more time you spend in school.
But Trump won't tell MAGA that. They're out there with Fao and all these other guys out there trying to tell folks, you don't need to go to college. You don't need to go to college. Those elitists, those this. Look, here's the thing. Here is the thing. Bill Gates didn't finish college. He did very well, right? College, I had this discussion with my daughter. Some people are self-starters. They don't need college, but it would be as if they went to college because of their self-starting kind of a way. College for me was like a stepping stone. I've always been inventing stuff and doing stuff. Even back in Panama, I remember taking my class in third grade to the little creek with a motor that I did with a shoebox to show it could go against the current, right? But not everybody is that curious, or not everybody is that nerdy like I used to be, or like many of my friends are. Some people need the structure to put them there, right? So some people need college, some people don't. Some people benefit from having college even as they are self-starters, because college, I always say that what college gave me as an engineer was methodologies. In other words, it allowed me to do some better focusing than being all over the place. I used to be doing electrical stuff. I almost killed myself creating a rocket with sulfur and some other stuff. I mean, it kind of focused you in knowing enough that you don't kill yourself, if you will. But anyhow, so that's important. But what MAGA is doing, what Trump is doing to MAGA is giving them an excuse to fail. And I'm not saying college is equivalent to success. It's not. But college, as he shows, in the aggregate, you do better with college. And they're trying to make their people not go to college. And we know one of the reasons why. As Trump said, I like stupid people. In other words, he wants to make sure that his people are not very aware of much.